Good morning friends. Our today's topic for the discussion is steroidals, triterpenoids and cardiac glycosides. Under the topic steroids, we will study the drug Liquirus, and under the topic triterpenoids, we will study the drug Diascoria, and in the cardiac glycoside section, we will study the Digitalis. Moving to the next slide. First, we will study about the Liquirus. Liquirus is also known with the name of Mulethi, Yashchi Madhu and different others. It comes under the category saponin glycosides. What does we mean by sapo? Sapo is a Latin word which name soap-like, which will give a froth while incorporating with the water. It's a group of organic compounds that form persistent froth when shaken with water even in the dilute solution. And one more important thing, that it is saponin causes hemolysis of the red blood cells. This is the main specifications of the saponin glycosides, which Liquirus, under this category we will study the Liquirus. In the next slide, we will study about the classification of the saponin glycoside. According to the nature of the aglycon moiety, there it has been classified into the steroidal and triterpenoidal saponin. The steroidal saponin will also call as pentacyclic triterpenoid saponin, and it is also known as tetracyclic triterpenoid saponin. According to the sugar moiety, it is known as monodesmoside, that is one sugar chain, and it is also having a two sugar chain which is known as bidesmoside. There are specific chemical structure of two different types of saponin, that is steroidal saponin and triterpenoidal saponin. Moving to the next, where we will study about the triterpenoid saponin. Basically, they are found in the dicot plants. They contain specifically 30 carbon atoms. The examples must be ginseng, ginseothide, panaxoside. It also has horse chestnut. It is having Liquirus roots. The example of the chemical composition of the Liquirus roots are glycyrrhizin. Senega is one more example of this category. Moving to the next slide, where we will study the morphology and different pharmacognostic feature of the Liquirus roots. Here is the plant of Liquirus roots, and here is the dried powder and dried Liquirus rhizomes and roots. The synonym of glycyrrhiza is Liquirus roots and Glycyrrhiza radix. Its biological sources, it is obtained from the dried, peeled or unpeeled roots and rhizomes or stolon of the Glycyrrhiza glabra lineus. It belongs to the family Leguminosae. Moving to the next, exactly geographical source of Liquirus. It is grown in the sub-Himalayan tracts and Baluchistan. It is cultivated in large scale in Spain and Yorkshire, that is in the England continent. There are three commonly grown varieties of Glycyrrhiza glabra. These varieties are Glycyrrhiza glabra violacea variety, which is also known with the name of Persian Liquirus. Another variety is Glycyrrhiza glabra variety glandulifera, which is also known as Russian Liquirus. Another variety, the third one, is Glycyrrhiza glabra variety typica, which is also known as Spanish Liquirus. That means we have three different commonly grown varieties, that is Persian Liquirus, Russian Liquirus and Spanish Liquirus. Whereas Persian Liquirus is bearing violet flowers, but this Russian Liquirus has distinct with a big stalk together with number of enlarged roots, but it is not got any stolon. Whereas the Spanish Liquirus, it bears only purplish blue colored papilionaceous flowers. It possesses large number of stolons. So here are the three differences in these three Persian, Russian and Spanish Liquirus. Moving to the next, that is macroscopic characters of the Liquirus. The macroscopic characters, that is color, the unpeeled Liquirus it is externally yellowish brown and dark brown, whereas it is internally yellowish yellowish in color. The odor is faint and characteristic. The taste is sweet. Size, it length around 20 to 50 centimeter, whereas the diameter not exceeded than 2 centimeter. The shape of the unpeeled drug is straight and nearly cylindrical, whereas peeled drug mostly angular. The fracture of this liquid is in bark shape, that is splintery in the wood. Moving to the next slide, where we study about the microscopic characters of the liquorous roots. Here are the microscopic characters. When we section transversely it gives several yellowish brown cork layers, which around 6 to 7 layers of cork, whereas phalloderm, after the cork there is a phalloderm layer which is around 2 to 3 layers of large and globular cells. In this phalloderm we will get calcium oxalate prism shaped crystals. After this phalloderm, the whole portion is known as cortical portions, whereas the cortical portion contains starch granules, crystal sheets and medullary rays, vessels, xylem fibers and also pith there is present. So, here it is different structural variations in the different form of Glycyrrhiza rhizomes. Moving to the next, where we will see the microscopic structure of that Glycyrrhiza glabra root. Moving to the chemical constituent of the Glycyrrhiza, here we are. The main chemical constituent of the Glycyrrhiza is a major glycoside, which is glycyrrhizin or glycyrrhizic acid. It is having a glycon moiety, glycyrrhitinic acid and glucuronic acid. It also contains liquiratioside, isoliquiroside, liquiritin, isoliquiritin, which is a flavonoid. Isoliquiritin is a well known flavonoid which is present in the licorice roots. It also contains sugar moiety, which is glucose or mannitol. It is also having resins and volatile oils, and it is also having starch. Here we have the structure of glycyrrhizic acid, which is a saponin glycoside. Moving to the next, that is identification test of liquorized glycoside. When we treat sulfuric acid to a thick section of the drug or a powder of the drug, it instantly produces deep yellow color, which is a identification test of liquorous roots. Moving to the next, on the uses of Glycyrrhiza. It is used as demulcent, that is and also as a expectorant. The demulcent is smoothing property of any canal. So, it is also used in the sore throat, that is cough and cold. It is used as masking agent for bitter tonics, bitter pharmaceutical formulations like quinine, aloe, ammonium chloride solutions. A salt ammoniated glycyrrhiza is employed as a flavoring agent in beverages and pharmaceuticals and confectionery. Its inherent surface activity due to presence of saponin helps to facilitate the absorption of poorly absorbed drug. For instance, anthraquinone glycoside. That means it improves the absorption of anthraquinone glycoside in the body of human. Another use of this Glycyrrhiza due to the presence of glycyrrhetinic acid, which exerts mineralocorticoid activity and which used in the treatment of inflammation, rheumatoid arthritis and Addison's disease. This Glycyrrhiza is also used as expectorant, demulcent, flavoring agent, anti-inflammatory agent, to the treatment of rheumatoid arthritis, to treat the peptic ulcer, to treat the antispasmodic agent, It is also used as ingredient for potentiate the effect of senna. Moving to the next, over to the adulterant. Glycyrrhiza roots have been adulterated with the Glycyrrhiza urullensis, which is also known as Manchurian liquorice. This Manchurian liquorice have a pale chocolate brown appearance with wavy medullary rays and exfoliated cork. It is mostly used as adulterated to Glycyrrhiza glabra. This particular species is from sugar but not contains glycyrrhizin. That means it do not contains any medicinal property, it only contains sugar properties. Sometimes Russian licorice is also adulterated because the drug is purplish in appearance, has long roots but having no stolon. This is all about the Glycyrrhiza. Now we are moving over to the Dioscorea. Moving over to the Dioscorea, which is also known as yams. It is a genus of 500 species which is herbaceous, sometimes it is woody also, and it is a perennial vine that produce starchy edible tuberous roots that are important source of food in tropical regions worldwide. It is grown in Africa, Asia and Latin America. The genus belongs to the Dioscoreaceae family, the family that contains true yams. Yam, that is underground root. Traditionally, sometimes sweet potato, that is Ipomoea batata, is also referred as yam, but it is not a true yam. Moving over to the classification of Dioscorea. It belongs to the kingdom Plantae, phylum Tracheophyta, class Spermatopsida, order Dioscoreales, family Dioscoreaceae, genus Dioscorea and species Deltoida. Moving over to the biological source, it consists of dried tubers of the plant Dioscorea like Dioscorea villosa, Dioscorea plarst, Dioscorea composita, Dioscorea spiculiflora, Dioscorea deltoidea and Dioscora floribunda. It belongs to the family Dioscoreaceae. Moving over to the next, to the geographical source of Dioscorea. Here we are. It is grown in the northwestern Himalayas from Kashmir to Punjab to Nepal to China, up to the altitude of 1000 to 3000 meters. It is also cultivated in Jammu and Kashmir and the part of Himachal Pradesh. Dioscorea deltoida is also found in USA and in the particular places of Mexico region. Moving to the next slide, that is collection and cultivation of the Dioscorea deltoida. This species distributed throughout the India and also in Nepal. These plants are cultivated mostly as garden crops or subordinate crops with ginger, turmeric, brinjal and sweet potato or maize. They grow best deep sandy loamy soil with adequate moisture and good drainage. The crop can be raised from seeds, but variability in progeny and comparatively longer time for harvesting are the disadvantage with the method which has been grown from the seeds. Thus, healthy tubers of about 70 to 80 grams in weight with crowns are selected for the cultivation. After 2-3 months of growth, tubers are transplanted in the field, which is treated with insecticide earlier. While planting the tubers, they are placed at distance of 30 to 60 centimeters. Irrigation is done for every 10 days. Organic fertilizers should be applied in equal doses at the interval of 1 month. The planting period is generally April to June, after that onset of monsoon, but it may varies accordingly local conditions and the species. Crops are ready after 5 to 8 months. Moving over to the next, that is morphology of the Dioscorea deltoida. The color of the tubers are slightly brown, they are odorless and they are bitter in the taste. The size varies depending upon the age of the rhizomes. This is a climbing species. The roots are tuberous, they are large in nature and the stem is leafy. The stem is smooth green twinner which is about size of goose quill, twinning from right to the left over fences, bushes, etc. The leaves are symmetrical and heart shaped, gradually tapering to the sharp acuminate point, and that is taper. The stalks from 2 to 4 inches long. Here we are having a look of dried Dioscorea rhizome. Moving over to the microscopic characters. Here we can see the transverse section of the Dioscorea tubers. The central portion is having pith and it is fragmented with the xylem and phloem. The uppermost portion is having epithelial tissues, epidermis, then it is here it is a magnification of 20x of this tubers. Moving over to the next slide, that is chemical constituent of Dioscorea. Dioscorea is the source of saponin glycoside. It contains a diosgenin glycoside, which are botagenin and diogenin are obtained from the roots of Dioscorea spiculiflora. Dioscorea also contain a small amount of hecogenin, which is an acrid resin. Hecogenin, it is a acrid resin. Diosine, which is acid hydrolysis yield of diosgenin, rhamnose and glucose. It also contains alkaloid, dioscorine and saponin diosine, which occurs in varying quantity in different species. Here are the different chemical and their structures which are found in the Dioscorea deltoida and various species of the varieties of the Dioscorea: diosgenin, diosine, gracilin, polyphylline 5, protodiosine, pseudoprotodiosine and pseudoprotogracilin are the different saponin glycosides which are present in the Dioscorea roots. Moving over to the chemical test of the Dioscorea, the first one is Lieberman-Burkhardt test. In the Lieberman-Burkhardt test, we treat the extract with few drops of acetic anhydride, boil and cool it, then added few drops of sulfuric acid from the side of the test tube. On a brown ring is formed at the junction of the two layers, that is aqueous and another layer. Upper layer turns green, which denotes to the asteroidal formation, and the lower layer turns to the deep red, which is a triterpenoidal formation. Another test is Lieberman's reaction, where we mix the 3 ml of extract with 3 ml of acetic anhydride, heated and cooled it. Then added few drops of sulfuric acid. The blue color is obtained, which is an identification test of the diosgenin. Moving to the uses of Dioscorea, it is used for the production of various steroidal drugs like progesterone, and it is also used as a cheap source of carbohydrate food. Some of the species of the Dioscorea, like Dioscorea alata, are used for the extraction of starch, whereas some of them are rich in vitamin B1, B2 and B6. It is used as antispasmodic, anti-inflammatory, anti-rheumatic, diaphoretic and diuretic, it is also used as gastrointestinal tonic and also used as expectorant. Moving over to the therapeutic uses of Dioscorea deltoida. This diosgenin is a phytoestrogen which is used this phytoestrogen is further converted to the various hormones which are anti-fertility drugs like progesterone, corticosteroids and anabolic steroids. This diazoxanine is further converted to the contraceptive pills like cortisones and also in the sex hormones such as testosterone. This testosterone is also useful as the supplement used by the bodybuilders to increase their testosterone, to increase their body weight. The paste of the rhizome is also applied to hair to kill the lease and allergy states. This the The decoction of the rhizome is also useful to treat the gastric problems and bloody dysentery. Traditionally, the plant is also used as an rheumatic and treat the ophthalmic conditions such as because of it is a source of steroidal drugs. It has also been used to rid of the body intestinal worms like parasites, and sometimes it is used to wash the woolen clothes. The powder of the rhizome of plant taken orally to cure dysentery and different abdominal conditions, and also used to treat the piles. Well, now we come over to the end of this discussion. Now we have to know about the how is it safe, that is its contraindication, how it is useful in the pregnancy, its interactions, its side effects and its toxicities. Its contraindications have not been yet identified. In the pregnancy, it is say efficacy in pregnancy, and it is lacking in lactations. Its interactions is not well documented yet. Moving over to its side effects, yet it has not been clinically evaluated that daily consumption of the wild yam would have no adverse effect. Only a single renal dysfunction have been shown in the Dioscorea villosa, where some people have been reported with renal functions ailments. There is toxicities, and it is not it is intoxicant at the 3.5% diazoxanine in the Dioscorea villosa. Moving over to the allied species, Dioscorea alata, Dioscorea bubifera and Dioscorea deltoidea. Moving over to the different species, that is Dioscorea alata, Dioscorea bubifera and Dioscorea deltoidea. The Dioscorea alata, it is native to the South Asia, and most important, it is cultivated in the species throughout the tropical regions. They are starchy by nature and used as vegetable. It is anthelmintic and used in the treatment of leprosy and to treat the piles and gonorrhea. Moving over to the next, that is Dioscorea bubifera, which is a large unarmed climber with stems twinning to the left. The tubers are used mostly as feminine food to prepare starch for washing wool and woolen cloths, and also used to treat fish bait in Kashmir. It is applied for ulcers in piles and dysentery, and also used to treat syphilis. The next and last one is the Dioscorea deltoidea, which is an extensive climber with unarmed stem twinning to the left. The tubers are rich in saponin and are used in washing silk, wool and hair. They kill lice, and this the Dioscorea, that is it is having a large amount of diazoxanine, which is used as the which is used for the production of different hormones. There are few another varieties, other species of Dioscorea like Dioscorea esculenta, Dioscorea glabra, Dioscorea hamiltoni, Dioscorea positifolia, Dioscorea pentaphylla, Dioscorea praesert and Dioscorea puber. This we end the session of Dioscorea. Now the next one is digitalis. Moving over to the next, that is digitalis, which comes under the category of cardioglycoside. It is also known with the name of foxglove leaves or digitalis leaves. The leaves are basically which are important having the cardioglycoside activity. The synonyms are basically foxglove leaves, whereas the biological source, if we are talking about the biological source of the digitalis, it is obtained from the dried leaves of Digitalis purpurea, which belongs to the family Scrophulariaceae. If we are talking about the assay purpose, it is required to contain the pure dry digitalis or digoxin in a pure form. It contains at least 0.3% of total cardenolides, which is calculated as digitoxin. After collection from the field, the leaves are immediately dried over a temperature not exceeding than 60 degrees centigrade and is stored in a moisture proof container. Here it is the beautiful flower of that Digitalis purpurea, and these are the leaves, that is morphology. Moving over to the habitat. It's a biennial herb which is grown in the England and also cultivated in India, Europe and USA. The plant is cultivated from the seeds. It requires calcareous, acidic and sandy soil for the growth. The seeds are very small in size. Around 100 seeds weigh only 40 to 70 milligram. The seeds are mixed with fine sand and sown in the nursery beds in the month of March and April. The young seedlings are transplanted in the September and November to the fields. The crop is manured and kept free from weed. The collection part of these leaves are very important, as the plantation is done in twice in a year. The plant flowers in the month of March to April and followed by fruiting. The first year leaves bears rosette leaves, whereas the second year leaves are the sessile leaves. The leaves collected in the second year in the afternoon during the August and September month, when the second and third of flowers are fully developed, when the flowering has been done at least 2 or 3 times. Discolored leaves have been rejected. After collection of leaves, they are immediately brought to a drying center where they have been dried under the vacuum dryer at a temperature below 60 degrees centigrade. This temperature is very important, that they have been dried at this temperature. If we exceeded the temperature, the diosgenin, which is the main chemical constituent, which is a cardenoloid, will destroy. So the temperature of drying is very important. It has been dried till the moisture is not more than 5%. The dried leaves are packed in an airtight container with suitable dehydrating agent. If the leaves are dried above 60 degrees centigrade, the potency of the leaves as a cardioactive drug will reduce due to the chemical degradation. It is very important to keep in mind that if the moisture will be there in the leaves after drying, then the presence of moisture and also an enzyme which is DG purpurease will degrade or oxidate the glycoside, which is responsible for the activity of the leaf. So exactly we have to keep in mind that it would be dried fully and not over dried more than 60 degrees centigrade. So be careful while collection of these leaves. Moving over to the macroscopy, the leaves are dark greyish in green in color. They are odorless. They are distinctly bitter. The length of leaves are 10 to 30 centimeter and they have a width of 4 to 10 centimeter. The shape of the leaves are ovate, lanceolate and petiolate. Here is a picture of sessile leaves which are from Digitalis plant. These are the sessile leaves. As we can see, this is the leaves. Moving to the next. The base of the leaves are dentate apex are subacute, margin as we have seen the dentate margin, the surface, both surfaces are pubescent. Moving over to the microscopy of the leaf. It is a dorsiventral leaf having anomocytic stomata with covering and glandular trichome both on the side. The glandular trichomes are short, unicellular stalk and unicellular bicellular head, whereas covering trichomes are uniseriate and collapsible cells. The digitalis is free from calcium oxalate crystals and sclerenchyma. The starch grains are present and collenchyma is present in the leaf. Moving to the next, we are discussing the chemical constituent of the digitalis. The chemical constituent. Main chemical constituent of digitalis, it contains 0.2 to 0.45% both primary and secondary glycoside. The primary glycoside, which is a purpurea glycoside A and B, it is also having glucogitaloxin, and secondaries are digitoxin, G-toxin and G-taloxin. The primary glycosides are less stable and less significant, whereas the secondary glycoside, that is purpurea glycoside A and B, constitute the principal active constituent of the fresh leaves. That means the activity of the cardiac glycoside digitalis is due to the purpurea glycoside A and B, which constitute the principal active constituent of the fresh leaves. Here we are the structure of purpurea glycoside A and B. Firstly, the purpurea glycoside A hydrolyzes and forms digitoxin and a molecule of glucose. This digitoxin is further hydrolyzed and form digitoxygenin and 3 molecules of digitoxose. Moving over to the next one, that is purpurea glycoside B, which on the hydrolysis yield G-toxin and a molecule of glucose, and this further reduces or hydrolyzed in G-toxygenin and 3 molecules of digitoxose, and this further move to the this is G-toxin and digitoxygenin, which are responsible for this. They are a glycan moiety which are responsible for this particular activity. Another one is purpurea glycoside C, which is further hydrolyzes and form G-taline and glucose, and this further hydrolyzes and form G-talagenin, which is also a cardiac active agent. Now on the another slide, we can see here a basic molecular structure of G-toxygenin and digitoxygenin. There are various arrangements, and this is main chemical structure where the arrangements of hydrogen and hydroxy group have been differed and forms G-toxygenin and digitoxygenin, and these two have been responsible for the treatment of congestive heart failure. Here in the next, basically we discuss about how this G-toxygenin and digitoxygenin works on the works in the treatment of cardiac heart failure. Exactly these two, digitoxygenin and G-toxygenin, basically blocks the sodium potassium ATPase pump of the cardiac muscles. Due to this blockage, there is an increase of intracellular sodium, which ultimately increase the calcium ions in the cardiac muscles. This calcium ion basically increases the forceful contraction of myocardium, and this forceful contraction further moving to the further increase the greater output per beat, and this greater output per beat basically emphasizes to the complete emptying of the heart, and which is further delayed circulation improved, and through this any edema or any thing which have been blocked in the cardiac cycle has been flushed out. Through this function, through blocking the sodium potassium ATPase pump, which is basically responsible for the cardiac muscles per beat. So it increases the per beat flush out, so it increase in this way it works for cardiac heart failure. Here is a diagrammatic representation of sodium potassium ATPase pump through how this digitalis blocks the sodium potassium ATPase pump, and through blocking this sodium potassium ATPase pump, the invert movement of the sodium and potassium has been blocked. So the increased calcium, here it is the increased calcium ion, which further increases the calcium binding site and which further increases the entropy, that is powerful contraction of the cardiac muscles. So as we can see in the previous diagram how it works through sodium potassium ATPase pump. So it basically increases excitability of the cardiac muscles and produces more powerful contraction. This improvement through kidney also results in the diuresis, that is any edema in the renal tubules will also flushed out. It is effective in the congestive heart failure, that is CHF, to increase the cardiac output and to relieve the venous congestion. Hence it is used also as a cardiotonic. There is also some disadvantages with this exactly. So it is also administered under the strict medical supervision. Moving over to the prepared digitalis, it is a powdered digitalis prepared from the dried leaves. It's an official preparation along with the digitalis tablets. The injection of digitalis is also available in the market. Moving over to the storage condition of the digitalis leaves is exactly, it should be stored in a well closed container in a cool place which is away from light. The leaves do not contain more than 5% of moisture because moisture can degrade the digitoxin glycoside. It could be also adulterated with the mullein leaves and comfrey leaves. Mullein leaves, which is obtained from the Verbasum thapsus, it is densely covered with the large branched woody hairs, whereas comfrey leaves, which is Symphyllum aficulatum, which belongs to the family Boraginaceae, it can be detected by the presence of multicellular trichome. Here we have make the difference between the adulterants and the pure digitalis leaves. Moving over to the next, exactly one more adulterant, which is known as primrose leaves. These primrose leaves all obtained from the Primula vulgaris, which is Primulaceae family. It is detected microscopically by the presence of uniceriate covering trichome. Moving over to the some allied drugs which are used as digitalis leaves. One of them is digitalis lanata, which is also known with the name of white foxglove leaves. The synonym of these leaves are Austrial digitalis, woody foxglove leaves. Its biological source is digitalis lanata and the part used is dried leaves. It belongs to the family Scrophulariaceae. It is obtained from the geographical source of digitalis lanata is Holland and USA, and its the size of the leaves are 21 centimeter to the width is 6 centimeter. Moving over to the chemical constituent of the digitalis lanata, it is more potent than digitalis purpurea as it is used as a source of manufacturing for digoxin and other glycoside. Digitoxygenin and digitoxygenin are specific to the digitalis while others are present in digitalis purpurea. Here is the chemical degradation of the glycosides obtained from the digitalis lanata, as it contains lanatoside A and lanatoside B and lanatoside C, whereas in the digitalis purpurea it contains purpurea glycoside A, B and C. Here as we can see with the alkaline hydrolysis, lanatoside A, B and C further degraded in the D-acetyl lanatoside A, D-acetyl lanatoside B and D-acetyl lanatoside C. with the further enzymatic hydrolysis, these lanetocyte A further produced in digitoxin and lanetocyte B further produce G-toxin, whereas lanetocyte C produce digoxin. The uses of these leaves, Digitalis lanata, they are almost exclusively for the preparation of lanetocytes and digoxin. They are also used in the treatment of auricular fibrillation and congestive heart failure, and it is preferred because less cumulative effect. Here is the chemical structure of digoxin and digitoxin. Some other species which are also useful as cardiac glycoside are Digitalis lutea and Digitalis thapsi. Digitalis lutea is more potent, it is free from calcium oxalate and it is used as a common substitute for the official drug, that is Digitalis purpurea, whereas Digitalis thapsi, it is a Spanish variety of the Digitalis, it is found in the Spain and Italy. Leaves can be identified by the absence of non-glandular trichomes. Here we reached to the end point of the slides, this presentation. Thank you so much.